We're in Oxford and it is May 6, 1954 at 6 p.m. The wind has been whipping across the cinder track all day, strong enough that the race has almost been called off twice. A handful of spectators huddle on the grass banks, and one of the 6 runners who takes his mark has spent the day at the hospital between wards and patients with one eye on the sky, watching the flag at the end of the track, waiting to see if the wind would drop enough to try. And then it drops slightly, just enough. At 6:03 p.m, the 6 runners set off. What happens in the next 3 minutes and 59.4 seconds will be reported on the front page of every major newspaper in Britain the following morning. And it will dismantle something that millions of people had accepted as an immovable fact about human limits. Did I get you curious? Let's get into it. The man who is about to make history is Roger Bannister. At this time, he is 25 years old, he is a medical student at Oxford, and he is a part-time athlete. And I mean genuinely part-time. This is important for context and also just a fun fact. So Bannister ran in an era of amateur sport where you didn't really do sport as a profession. So something I didn't know before is that the Olympics back then were strictly for amateurs. Everyone competing at the highest levels of athletics had a full-time job or were a full-time student. So running was something you fit around your life and not the other way around. Staying true to that, Bannister trained on his lunch breaks, which were about 45 minutes to maybe an hour tops. And in my opinion, that makes what he was attempting even more remarkable. For 9 years, the record for running a mile hovered just above 4 minutes. And for all that time, many commentators and some physiologists argued that breaking 4 minutes might be impossible or even physically dangerous. The record had crept downward across decades, but agonizingly slowly. So it was 4:10 in 1923, it went down to 4:07, then 4:06, and then 4:01 by 1945. And then nothing. 9 years of nothing. The wall held up strong. So the consensus among many commentators and even some experts hardened into the belief that 4 minutes represented the practical limit of human performance. Until Mr. Bannister enters the scene. So, who is this guy Bannister and why the hell does he think he can do it? He is actually not the obvious candidate by any measure. 2 years earlier, at the 1952 Olympic Games in Helsinki, Bannister finished 4th in the 1,500 meter final. And that was a race he was actually expected to win. And after that failure, the press definitely wasn't kind to him. They thought he was done. He was a talented young man who everyone had high hopes for, but he came up short on the biggest stage. And at that point, he was just about ready to give up as well. But thankfully, instead of quitting, he gets focused. He applies his medical training to his own body by studying the mechanics of breathing, oxygen, and of pace. He also designs a training program built around interval running that his lunch breaks can actually accommodate. And he sets one specific target: breaking that damn 4-minute wall. He also makes the practical decision to recruit 2 friends, Chris Brasher and Chris Chataway, to pace him. So Brasher will lead the first half mile, then Chataway takes over, carrying Bannister to the 3/4 mark before stepping aside, and then Bannister will do the last lap on his own. And so the day finally comes. Brasher leads through the first half mile and Bannister stays close behind him. Chataway then picks up through 3/4. And at the bell that announces the defining last lap, Bannister is on 3 minutes and 0.7 seconds. He needs to run the last quarter mile in under 60 seconds. So he throws in everything he has. He breaks the tape and collapses. He loses his vision briefly as the crowd surges onto the track, and he later says he didn't even know if he'd done it at all. He couldn't see and he couldn't hear properly. He was held upright by the people around him while the announcer, a young man named Norris McWhirter, who would, by the way, later co-found the Guinness Book of Records, took his sweet time to announce. McWhirter understood the theatre of the moment, so he let the crowd settle just enough. Then his voice crackled over the speaker. Result of Event 8. 1 mile. First, R.G. Bannister of Exeter and Merton Colleges. In a time which, subject to ratification, is a new meeting and track record, and which comprising, as it does for laps, is a new English native, British national, British all-comers, European, British Empire and world record. The time was 3, and the roar of the crowd drowned out the rest. The time was 3 minutes 59.4 seconds. 3 minutes 59, the impossible number, the one on the wrong side of 4 minutes. A number that some physiologists said a human body could not produce. A number that had sat untouched for 9 years while the best runners on earth tried and failed to reach it. Now here's the part that matters almost more than the record itself. 46 days later, Australian runner John Landy broke it again, running it in 3 minutes 57.9 seconds. Now mind you, he didn't get dramatically stronger in 46 days. His lungs didn't change, his legs didn't change. The only thing that changed was that he now knew, because Bannister had showed him, that the number was crossable. And in the 3 years that followed, a further 15 runners broke the 4-minute mile. The record has since been broken 18 times. Today the world record stands at just over 3 minutes 43 seconds. So all of this actually has a name. It's called the Bannister Effect. You didn't see that coming, did you? So the Bannister Effect refers to the psychological and sociological phenomenon where an apparent impossible achievement becomes feasible once someone demonstrates it can be done. It's not that the other athletes suddenly got faster after Bannister broke the record. It's that the proof exists now that it is possible. The psychologist Albert Bandura spent decades researching why people believe or don't believe they're capable of something. His work on self-efficacy, so essentially your belief in your own ability to succeed, identified the sources that shape it. So the most powerful is your own direct experience of mastering something hard. So one of the best ways, in my opinion, to build confidence is to consistently do something you didn't think you could do. And even if it's just going slightly outside of your zone of certainty, just to remind yourself that you are capable of more than just your practiced daily routine. And then, according to Bandura, another powerful source of self-efficacy is seeing someone you view as similar to yourself succeed at something difficult. Okay, so that vicarious experience can shift your belief in your own capability, sometimes dramatically, as we've seen with Bannister. So the second one is what Bannister essentially did for every runner who came after him. He wasn't just an amazing runner, and he didn't just achieve his own goal and did something hard, proving to himself how capable he was. He did it for the world too. He was proof. He told everyone, hey, it's possible, give it a try. So what does that mean for most of us who are not elite athletes chasing world records? Well, we all have our own 4-minute miles. You know, the things we've accepted as solid, unbreakable walls. And I know I talk about how we limit ourselves a lot on this channel, But it is because I just find the thought of living only half of what we could be really sad. And not because we have to leave some fancy legacy behind, but just to see for ourselves what we are made of. And there are very few things as satisfying as surprising yourself with succeeding in something you never thought you could do. As a personal example, I always used to say I'm not a runner. I always felt like I was dying just running a few meters. And then last year I actually ran my first marathon. Okay, it was slow, very slow, but I did it within the goals I set for myself. So I obviously broke 0 records and I didn't make any kind of a mark in the world. But for me, that was my 4-minute mile. And it opened up the question of what else I'm capable of that I thought was just not in the cards for me. You know, if you break through something, it recalibrates your internal perception and then the world opens up. Now, I'm sure you have your own story too, if you look back at your life. You know, something that at some point felt so out of reach and which is now something so normal in your life that you don't even think of it as special anymore. Maybe it's time to reflect on that and to just be reminded of how much you've actually already done. And hopefully that will get you excited about what to do next. If you keep breaking down your own walls, you won't only add value to your own life and self-perception, but like Bannister, you might just show someone else what is possible for them too. Okay, well, I think that's it from me for today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope that it got you thinking. And if not, it was just fun hanging out with you. So thanks for being here. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day or evening. And as always, remember to stay powered by progress. I'll catch you again in the next one. Bye.